let's not waste our time here and get right into it. By the time this video is out, there are probably 10 videos out there already, but oh well. Beginning with the word Genesis, and beginning is actually very fitting since the word literally translates to origin, meaning this title is literally called Xenoblade Origin. With another little fun fact, this is Project Legacy that we talked about for many years. Like we are talking Xenoblade 2 times here. You can see it at around 56 seconds for just a moment. Makes me wonder if the game was intended for the Switch 1 in the first place. That would have been quite an ambitious title for such a system. We also lost the Chronicles part, which I personally always wanted gone. Unnecessary bloat. Folks over in Japan kept it simple. Genesis, by the way, is also the first book in the Old Testament. Can't talk about anything Xeno without bringing the Bible into your discussions. I may add that I will also talk about spoilery things from previous games and also some things here and there from Xenogears and hey, maybe even Xenosaga, we'll see. And you will also see why. As a matter of fact, let's mention the main character's name here. Her name is Eleanor. For the first time since Xenosaga, we will have an actual female lead. Granted, one could say that Alma was another one in Cross, but I don't think it's the same really, since you're still playing your create your own main character. There was actually a leak from a few months ago that included concept art and also the names of the other main character as well. I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but just say that the names, at least from the concept, was supposed to be Kane and Eliza. That would be the translation from Japanese to English. It may have changed since then, but both Eliza and Eleonora have the name Ellie in it. Kane would have K in it, but that's more of a stretch I think, because in Xenogears you play as Faye, with another main character joining in called Ellie. And without going into too much detail, if you played Xenoblade 3, there is a bit of a reincarnation thing action happening in Gears, meaning Faye had previous versions of himself. And one of them was called Abel. Abel and Cain, first book of Genesis, yeah, exactly. May I add that in the official Xenogears timeline, the 6-part game series that never happened, part 2 was actually, literally called Time of the Genesis. Being a story about Abel, a character called Cain, and a spaceship that has fallen on the planet, which you see at the beginning of the game. So exactly like Xenoblade Genesis. But where's the spaceship, you ask? Here. That is not a natural rock formation. It reminds me so much of a plot point and straight up an actual location in Xenogears. Like, that's crazy, man. But I'm rushing things here. Let us start from the beginning of the trailer. We see right away that this ain't no regular planet. If anything, this looks like the concept of a hollow world. Some claim that it looks like a Dyson sphere, but I'm not sure that's the most reasonable idea. Mainly because humans should technically stay outside of a Dyson sphere, not inside one. This would mean that nothing should exist within of it, except a lot of heat generated from whatever they're harvesting, so I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I'll come to the 6 suns in a second. There are a lot of factors that speak against that idea. But maybe by the Anima's will, they shall live like that without any issues. From the looks of it, you will be able to see the entire world of Xenoblade Genesis at all times. Monolith Soft gets more RAM once in their life and they make sure they use all of the RAM. Imagine you're receiving a dragon and flying to the other side of the sphere with no loading screens. That sounds nutty. In-universe though, this is probably the technologically least advanced game we have ever seen yet. People still use old regular wooden ships to traverse the waters, and yet we see multiple locations which absolutely do not look natural. One of them in particular looks like something you'd see in Leftheria, a location from Xenoblade 2. Although the size of this one is multiple times bigger than anything we have ever seen before. Next up we see a Monolith Soft employee cooking up a tasty 5-star gourmet triple deluxe experience, with some delicious herbs and spices. From this shot once more we see a more medieval experience awaiting us. In the next shot with the open field with the typical Xenoblade grass moving in the wind, we see multiple objects that look more metal than rock. Especially the structure in the middle reminds me of the Oblivia ring from Xenoblade Cross, where in the definitive edition we learn for the very first time where the ring actually originated from. From an ancient civilization, probably the Samar, which used massive terraforming devices to change landscapes of entire planets. And right here, we see a place that could have been straight out of Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. We see a little marketplace of sorts with a lot of people running around there. There isn't necessarily anything hidden in this shot, but one thing you start to notice is that most people have pointy ears. We know that Amalthus had them, we know that Calorians have them, but there's one more person. Zed. A big theory that I discussed before in previous videos is that Zed is actually a virus of sorts, a Samaarian who has hacked himself into the system, or maybe has been grabbed from the collective unconscious. Since Origin collected data from the worlds of 1 and 2, and we had no species or race that looked even closely like Zed, but with Void and the cutscene from Cross DE, we saw Ancient Samar for the very first time, which looked very similar to Zed, to the point where I'd say it was even identical. And with that, also those people, the ancient humans. I said it from the start, man, the next game is about a topic that Takahashi was never able to talk about before. I said that in multiple videos. Ancient humans. We see more races that we haven't seen before. I can't deny though that they remind me of the prone that we have in Xenoblade Cross. Another point to mention is that we have seen a lot of golden trees so far, although golden trees are only present around villages and important key locations for some reason. The narrator also talks about how everything that exists is thanks to the anime. That's the biggest can of beans that I could open now, but that might be a tad too much for the moment. Let's just say that Anima is Maineth, Pneuma, and Mythra from their respective games, and Zanza, Malos, and Alvis from their respective games. You know, you probably see where this is going. This is also the first time we see 5 orbs floating in the sky, the so-called 6 suns, that probably circle around in the middle of the sphere. But I assume there's perhaps one more orb that lights up and darkens in cycles, since it is nighttime now, and we saw the daytime multiple times. As per usual, we have war. War never changes, and it is said that those would be decided by Anima, that godlike figure, and those who could wield the power of the Anima, those so-called Vesselai. Vessels, essentially. The swords have holes, so Monados are definitely back in some way. In the very next shot we see another hole in another sword, with a hologram hovering in the middle. This symbol looking practically identical to the Aegis level 3, or more specifically like Pneuma's sword. This sword was gifted to her by someone we don't know the name of just yet, and may I add, the world is called Anshar. Let me quote something here. In Akkadian and Babylonian mythology, Anshar signifies whole heaven, or totality of the upper world, representing the celestial horizon. He is a primordial sky god, the husband of Gishar, which means whole earth, and together they personify the twin horizons of sky and earth. As the father of the sky god Anu, Anshar occupies a central role in the Enuma Elish creation epic as the grandfather of the major deities. Something related to an upper domain, huh? And also Lukos. I may quote something again. In ancient Greek, Lukos means white, bright, clear, or brilliant. It is derived from the Proto-Indo-European root luk, signifying light or to shine, making it a cognate of the Latin lux and the English word light. And also, with your typical Xeno-biblical context now, in the New Testament, Lukos describes the dazzling white garments of angels, the transfigured Christ, and the robes of the redeemed, symbolizing purity, divine glory, and victory. This is so done. You could make 10 theory videos out of these infos already. But this thing right here is an academy, aka probably tied to religion, and since we know we're playing a JRPG, they are part of an evil organization. It's just how it goes. And someone within that church teaches her about the Anima Crystones, and to me, those feel like beta versions of Aegis core crystals, since you're receiving, or more specifically, just use the power of the Anima, amplifying your powers with them, make it yours. Or maybe in this case it is Malus himself, since he's supposed to return eventually, and this is a purple crystal with an Aegis symbol in the middle. Although that would make no sense whatsoever, given the context and timeline of things. But at the same time, if you look at how Aegis core crystals usually looked visually, with the universe spinning around the glowing point in the middle, it is almost identical here. And the narrator makes a big deal out of those stones. That is essentially becoming a part of your life. It knows what you feel, what you think, and experience and everything. And also, look at the lighting, man. The shadows and the fog and just how great the environments looks. Looking good, man. We still have 1 full year to wait for this game, so it'll look even better. Looking at some of the aspects of the world again, so much of it just doesn't look natural at all. It's also hard to say what exactly happened to some of these places. And as you know, Monolith Soft, everything has a reason. It all exists for a reason. Although most characters wield swords, halberds, and magical staffs, we also see rifles. So gun gameplay may be back. We also see the new tech from Monolith Soft being implemented here, with this path being the best example. I talked about this more in depth in a dedicated video on the new tech they will use in future games. This is also the first time ever that we get to ride animals, perhaps also on dragons, which wouldn't be unreasonable to think about, considering we got ether jets in Xenoblade 1 now. While we ride through the landscape with a new enemy in the background and whatever structure this thing is, I would love to find ancient ruins throughout the environment and just consume lore through the exploration aspect. This would remind me a lot of Elden Ring, actually. They mention elements at the beginning, and we also see the following enemies sparking with electricity. Perhaps they may be a bigger focus on elements during combat again. I really love this aspect about the combat in Xenoblade 2. We also see multiple shots with the same visual effects that you would get when anything Ouroboros related would happen, which are also related to the Ares cores, of which there are 6 of them, which is the reason there can only be 6 Ouroboros at the same time, which are connected to the conduit. This might actually be a conduit origin story. I have a lot of thoughts going through my mind, but we can also see how the blade, almost like Lucky 7, can cut anything in half, even if the blade isn't even close enough physically. We can also see when this alternate Fei Fong Wong is trying to smack the ground like Matthew in Future Redeemed, that a hand is emerging from the ground, reaching out to someone. The original Ouroboros, perhaps. I couldn't tell you. Like the original. Moving on, we see a crystal in her hands. That looks like nothing we have ever seen before. I have no clue what that is. Although, hey, that's nice too, right? It would be boring if we could connect everything right away. We have a massive impact crater with a cockpit part of a massive spaceship in the middle of this whole thing. A Philadelphia-class spaceship, perhaps? The dots are connecting, man. We see a siren-colored dragon flying with a blonde kid riding on top of it, wearing purple armor. Now, I don't want to say it, so I won't say it. But it might be Mythra's child. Don't ask me how that makes sense. I'm just here to analyze the trailer. But we have to point out that if you consider the clothing of most people in this world and looking at this person's clothing, it looks significantly more modern. And do I see a pistol there? He will play a very important role in this game. And this might not happen in the actual past, man. In the next shot where the dragon flies over people's head, we see multiple interesting locations, where the one in the corner looks like something out of Leftheria once again, and there are standing multiple towers on multiple islands that lead to a final island with another tall building. this one looking extra massive. One main character is seemingly a noble person, that being our Ellie, and this other woman with a massive cross on her head is hating her, maybe for being noble, and I get the feeling that the hatred won't last long. I just think. Maybe the fact also that she is special makes her mad, you know? I mean, so is she, not needing an Anima Chrystone to use her powers. Maybe she is jealous of something. Only she wants to be special. Live and die by the will of Anima sounds like something that would relate to Zanza. And what on earth is that thing? What is that? It has wings and is covered in white. Is it perhaps an angel? The design looks really cool and it seems to have a little showdown with our Ellie, activating her Ouroboros power. This angel's sword looks like a beam of light, and the only thing I can think of is a Monado. It could be quote-unquote just an Ouroboros from the past or, well, who knows. But I also have to add that the environment looks completely otherworldly and alien. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to have reacted to their blades clashing. The whole place glowing in green now. Ether, perhaps. It looks really cool, though. That's certainly character design, man. Look at those ears. The tips are covered, so that's good stuff. But may I point out the black, let's just say, crystal on the forehead? The only character that I remember had something similar to that is Elma's true form. Elma's an alien from a planet that has been destroyed by the ghosts. Wait a second, I just looked it up actually. Elma in her true form has also pointy ears. Huh. Okay. Well, she did say that their species was advanced. They were in possession of Chlorian tech, which is the reason why humanity and Cross survived in the first place. There is a connection there for you. The hologram person looks like one of the higher-ups at that Lycos Academy. Those knots look like the same symbol you see at the Academy's windows. Now that's a villain if I've ever seen one. Dude looks mad. And that's good. Potentially good villain detected. It's just a close-up shot with him wearing a crown. He will be important for sure. One of the bigger bats. I can't say much about this guy. He will probably die, which can't be said about Choo Choo. This is the Xenogears mascot, if you can really call him that. But come on, man, the similarities are absolutely there. I still have questions regarding Noppon though. They're such a mystery. Their very existence is a mystery. Their existence makes no sense. But I'm drifting off here. Someone is saying that they're going back to where they belong. What does that mean? Where is this place? Then we have this Genshin Impact looking character doing some hack and slash action on us. And another new character that has an issue with us. I am more intrigued by the fact that we are underground quite often actually. Although in this case, what does that even mean here? How deep does it actually go and where does that lead? It seems he is protecting something that is glowing behind him. With the first trailer, it's surely hard to figure out what the main goal even is. What's the destination? Someone dying, by the way, is a Xeno classic. I expect a friend to die pretty early on. Just so another main character unlocks the hidden ability Boss Ouroboros Buster, also known as Bob. This scene made me realize something. We had multiple shots of a campfire in here, oddly specific to show a campfire multiple times. I just want to point that out. Maybe reading too much into it. And while she dances, everyone watches her. Stars and a sort of green fog covering this whole place. Which reminds me of the scene from Future Redeemed when Pneuma's core and Logos' core clashed together to create a special fused Ouroboros. You had the exact same fog and visual effects happening there. When the camera pans up, you see only 5 stars again, but the light gets bundled and vanishes into... maybe the big star would just turn dark? Maybe the stars are dying, aka the cores, aka the conduit, aka Zohar emulator. That's an actual night sky too. I don't see a ceiling. They seem to stand at a rather peculiar place in any case. Then you have a plant with 7 buds. Not sure how this relates to anything, but maybe they did that on purpose to throw us off, you know. But we do eventually get to see the 6th sun glowing up, bright and yellow, and the narrator saying that the vengeance of a fallen god has yet to be fulfilled. The final shot is once again, and for the very last time, an indication, for me at least, that this place wasn't naturally formed whatsoever. I don't know. You see places that could be part of a massive spaceship. You see ruins and old buildings here and there, strange desolate places like single islands, and just a lot of water. When the camera pans over even further, some of the landscape reminds me of Sylvalum and Dana Desert with the Mechonis arm. There are so many elements sticking out from the water. The only logical explanation that I would have is debris from the spaceship. We also seem to have a lava region over here on top. We don't have that often. The logo looks like a crystal, a polygony kind of prisma that gets shattered, but slowly, breaking apart, perhaps. This could be related to the Chaos Emeralds that this one girl was holding. And I think on first glance, just kind of looking over this whole trailer again and again, this is all that I could get from it. It seems there is one more idea that is mentioned in Xenosaga 3, which is the only game I still have to play through, which has kind of a similar idea in one aspect, but I haven't read too much into it. I will play it soon though, don't worry about that, so this will be interesting to learn about. Folks, what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you have a perfect idea, perfect theory that could fit into Xenoblade Genesis story? Let me know in the comments. If you like the video, like the video. If you dislike the video, do so as well. Folks, I thank you all for watching. Once again, thank you to all the supporters for supporting this channel. There is cool stuff on Patreon. Visit the Discord server if you want to chat with another cool people about Xenoblade. And I wish you all a fantastic rest of your day, folks. Have a good one. See you in the next video.